Hi, it's Therese and today I'm here for Altenew and I'm going to make a hidden sentiment card. I decided to create my own sort of stamped background using some of their fabulous... Now these are just shapes and they have all different shapes in them, and I've chosen a few squares, 3 different sized squares. They're from the building blocks and the Simple Shapes XL stamp sets. I've got 2 pieces of cardstock. They're cut exactly the same size, and I have decided to make a square card today because I just thought that would really suit the sentiment that I want to create today, which is 50, which is my husband's birthday card, and I am making it because it's his birthday this weekend. And I was originally going to do a really dark sort of masculine card, and I don't know, I had so much fun the other day when I made a similar card style like this. I thought I'll just give it a go. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to my original idea. I chose some manly colours and they're from the greys, so I've got some from the rock collection. I'm using limestone and the silverstone, so it's the lightest and the second lightest, and then 3 different colours from the new blue sort of green colour that are out. That's the Dewdrops, Aqualicious and Teal Cave. So these are quickly becoming my favourites and really fab for a masculine design in these sort of combos. So in case you haven't noticed, I'm using the squares to create sort of a graphic style background, and I'm creating two panels that are exactly the same. And this is where the Misty really comes in handy, because I can, and if I misstamp as well, like so say my ink, actually these stamped beautifully, obviously I've used these stamps a lot because they're well conditioned, but if I do happen to misstamp, I can always restamp my image. I'm interlocking the blocks all different sizes. I am trying to mix it up so that they're not too close to each other, like the same sizes aren't too close to each other, the same colours aren't too close to each other, and just to try and give more of a visual, a nice balance visually. I did have a little practice on a piece of just copy paper, and it seemed to flow okay, so I just sort of went off that idea, which I've got off to the side as a reference. I'm speeding it up here a little bit because I think you've worked out what I'm doing by now, and I don't know, if you're anything like me, then you can really struggle making a masculine card design. They are a bit, I find the women's female cards, girls, kids cards, all of those are so easy to do. But the few rules that I tend to stick to for a man's card in particular, or a teenage boy, is to use some nice bold colours or keep it fairly neutral, keep my colours to a minimum, or use similar colours from families, and that's where these Altenew inks work beautifully for this. Often I head towards a graphic and clean and simple style too, and that seems to work for me. So hopefully that might help work for you too. I've got the Caps Bold Alpha dies and they're back in stock, so I thought I'd use them here and cut out the 2 words 50, and I often, when I'm die cutting with these dies, I often do them one at a time so that I can get the words letters a little bit closer together. And today I decided to do all my cutting at once. It does make it easier to line it up. I just looked, I didn't draw any lines, I just sort of visualized it and cut, and it seemed to work perfectly. These are really easy to line up, these dies. And just ran that through my big shot because it is a fairly large panel. And then when I was taking the tape off, I did do this really slowly because I have got that ink on the cardstock and I didn't want to have to start again. Oh, and I did keep the center of the O as well. We're going to need that. I've added some tape runner behind the base of my 2 words because I thought it'd be fun to pop a little, this is the dark grey cardstock panel behind just underneath, so it will kind of help those words stand out a little bit because of the busy pattern and the big die cut words. It just helps to be able to see the hidden sentiment. So I don't want it totally hidden, I do want you to be able to see it. I've added some fun foam behind all of the sort of, I could have made this a shaker, I never even really thought of that. It would have been a fun shaker too, but I didn't. And just added some liquid glue to hold that panel in place on top of the first panel. I did grab one of the speech bubbles from the sentiment and heat embossed that on some black cardstock using some pure white crisp embossing powder. And these dies, I find them a little bit hard to line up, so what I do is die cut a piece out of some scrap cardstock and then I tape that in place over my the sentiment that I've stamped here. And I find that by taping the two cardstocks together, it's not going to shift when I run it through my die cutting machine. And then I can simply just nest my sentiment die, the die that matches this sentiment. You can do this with any image, with any die, and nest that in place over the die cut, and it works perfectly every time. And I keep that piece of the guide cardstock as well, because I can reuse that next time I die cut that same word. Now I did make this top fold card. I've added my adhesive to the back of my panel and I can just adhere that down, and then decided to pop up my speech bubble sentiment, and that's my finished card for today. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again real soon. Everything's going to be linked below, so head in the description to find out where you can get all these fun products. Oh, and I did add some enamel dots. Aren't they cool? Bye.